Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Her Story. Um, I know that I told y'all that I would not be doing an episode today, um, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of something. So, the original topic was going to be on the Little Rock Nine, which I am still going to do. Um, you're just gonna have to bear with me for like a week or two. I will probably be absent for the next week or two as far as my podcast is concerned. Um, but you guys will learn more about that a little bit later. Um, I'm making this episode because I got up this morning and I saw a video on Facebook, and it was a video from years ago of Farrakhan, and he was basically answering questions from a live audience and whatnot. And it sparked a lot of thoughts in my mind, and I want to talk about them with you guys. And um, this is in regards to, you know, during the time when Jim Crow was heavy and schools were segregated, public places were segregated, bathrooms were segregated, restaurants, all of that. It was a very tumultuous time for the African American community. And in this clip that I watched, a Caucasian woman stood up and she said, "Oh, well, I'm afraid because of the violence." And when she said that, in the context of the time frame that we're talking about, everyone was a little bit confused because there wasn't really violence coming from African Americans during that time. So a lot of people in the audience were a little confused by her comment. And today is the 4th of July, and it's Independence Day for the United States. Hooray for the U.S. Um, but I want to give you guys the perspective that I know some people share when it comes to the 4th of July. Now, I know that there are people who choose not to celebrate the 4th of July for very fair reasons. And one of the main reasons being that the 4th of July did not really signify or mean anything to African Americans. It simply didn't, because we weren't free. We were still in shackles and chains and being treated less than. Weren't even considered a full human at that time that Independence Day came around for the United States. So a lot of people don't celebrate the 4th of July unless it's, their friend's birthday, or they have a relative who's born on the 4th of July. Other than that, some people don't celebrate it. And I personally don't see anything wrong with that. Now, there are a lot of people, because I also was on TikTok this morning too, who were like, "Oh, the 4th of July is for," some guy posted on TikTok and he was like, "Oh, the 4th of July is for all of my unvaccinated, patriotic, conservative people." And I saw that and I sat there and I was just like, do you want a hero cookie? Do you want a round of applause? Like, I'm a little confused on what your end goal is here. But all of this, popped up throughout my social medias, and I was sitting here and when I saw that clip from, this was probably, I don't know the year that the clip was from when Farrakhan was taking questions from this live audience, but I'm going to assume somewhere in the 50s or maybe the 60s. I'm not really sure. But it made me realize that a lot of the questions and concerns and comments that he was getting in that audience are a lot of the same issues that we still see in 2021, which, quite frankly, is not surprising. It really isn't, because there are a lot of people who still hold on to a lot of the very improper and incorrect teachings that they got from their childhood. And that's why I say that it is super important to understand that everything that you teach your kids and future generations is so important, because kids are literally like sponges. They will soak up everything you say to them, everything you teach them, and everything that you do, they see, they soak up. So when it comes to people being racist, it's not just that, oh, they came out the womb and they were racist. No, it is coming from what their parents or their grandparents or their relatives are teaching them, because kids are impressionable. And once they soak up that stuff, it's very hard to get them to unlearn some of those ideologies that they might have. But also, once you become an adult, you have to make the decision to unlearn behaviors, unlearn ideologies that you may have. You have to be willing to unlearn all of that stuff. And quite frankly, a lot of people in society are not willing to unlearn their ignorance. And I think that is one of the major problems as to why a lot of things cannot be fixed within the US, is because people do not want to unlearn their incorrect ideologies. There are a lot of stereotypes out there about black people. A lot. Um, and I saw a tweet from, I don't remember who it was from, but they pretty much disputed the fact that there are disparities when it comes to African Americans within the United States, which is quite frankly untrue. I took a I took another gender studies class called Global Perspectives on Women and Gender, and we talked about a lot of different disparities, not even just among women, but among gender, race, class, and sexuality in respects to global perspectives. And I had to do a little bit of research, and I found an article from a woman who worked with this company, and she was fired because her hair, she wore her natural hair, and the company deemed it unprofessional. And one of the employees there called her the N word with the hard R, and discriminated against her and fired her from the company and sent her really nasty text messages. And for people who say, oh, that doesn't exist, it very much does exist. But I think that it is very hard for people who are not black to understand that. Yeah, you might hear it and be like, oh my God, that's awful, but you don't live it. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of people hold on to these ignorant beliefs that racism doesn't exist. Racism isn't as prevalent. Like, I also saw on TikTok, this TikToker, his username is Clarkson.Lawson, and he basically made a video that talked about how Instagram is highlighting black owned businesses, which I think is awesome. But he obviously took an issue with that and said, oh, I don't see how that's helping black businesses, is actually not helping them bring in any revenue at all, blah, blah, blah. What a lot of people fail to understand, and see, this is where the whole idea of you're not black so you won't understand comes in. A lot of mainstream products that are out there are not tailored towards African Americans, whether it's our hair, our skin, all of that. A lot of products do not cater to that. So some people within the African American community created their own businesses and said, hey, I got the product for us, y'all. Let's buy it up. And a lot of black owned businesses are small businesses. So I don't think there's anything wrong with highlighting that on a major social media platform and say, hey, if you're looking for a product that's catered for your skin or that's specifically designed for your hair, I got a black owned business right here for you if you want to shop black owned businesses to support. What is the issue with that? Like, he made it seem like it was the worst thing on the planet, as if, Fashion Nova and Huda Beauty and Sephora and all these other companies are not being highlighted all over Instagram. They get sponsor ads and all of that. But as soon as Instagram says, okay, let's make a section for black owned businesses, it's a problem. The community is shook. I don't understand it. I really don't get it. Also, by the way, I am not even using a script. Okay, these are all thoughts that are literally just sitting in my brain. Because these are all things that I'm just thinking through. So there are a lot of random topics, but they're all interconnected in some way. So another issue that I have is education. As someone who has a degree in history, I find it extremely unsettling that in school, especially public schools, a lot of kids still learn the inaccurate version of historical things. A lot of kids still learn the untrue version of how natives lost their land. There are a lot of things within school that are not properly taught, or that are sugar-coated, or a lot of details are left out. And I'm really trying to wrap my head around as to why. And I really think that a lot of people in this country don't want the truth of this country to come out. They want to focus on, oh my God, this is the greatest country ever, but won't recognize your faults and your very jacked up history that still affects a lot of different communities in 2021. it's not surprising, but it's like I thought by now we would have made some progress. Unfortunately, we haven't. At least not when it comes to education. There's this whole conversation around the critical race theory. And they say, oh, that's teaching your kids how to be racist. No, I think that race and racism needs to be taught in class. I think students need to learn about how racism affects different communities, how racism and discrimination exists within healthcare, within getting a job, within neighborhoods that you can live in, within you moving into a neighborhood that's predominantly white and then you being harassed because you're black and they don't think you belong there. That is information that should be taught. If a 5-year-old can walk into a store and be harassed for being black and be accused of be accused of stealing, why can't kids learn about how that's not right? I don't understand that. It is something I will never understand. But I also know the education system is not going to change that. I saw that APS, Atlanta Public School System, they don't want to change that, which is very disheartening to know. But it's the reality of the world that we live in. Yeah, in a perfect world, racism would not exist, discrimination would not exist. We will all get along and we will all be fine, and these issues would not be an issue. But the reality is that these are issues, and they're issues that need to be addressed. One thing that I do not like about social media, especially TikTok, because I see it so much, there are going to be some people who are going to hear this part and be very upset with me. But I'm going to say it because it needs to be said. I don't think there is much done. There is not much benefit to getting on TikTok and, creating names for whoever you're addressing and going back and forth just by calling each other names. Like, I've seen so much of that on TikTok. So much of it. And I honestly don't think that it's necessary. How are we fixing the issue by saying, hey, we want to be treated fairly and we don't want to experience discrimination and prejudice anymore, but let me get on TikTok and create a list of names that I can call white people. Not justifying things that a lot of Caucasians have gotten on TikTok and done, but it's counterproductive when you get on TikTok and make a response by saying, oh, you're a snow bunny, so you don't understand, and then that's the end of the video. What are we doing? Who are we educating? What are we solving? Nothing. Because then a white creator gets on the app and says, oh, well, they're calling us snow bunnies and mayo monkeys and all this other stuff. So that proves my point. It's counterproductive. It really is. There are a lot of people in this society who need to unlearn their ideologies that they've been taught from their parents. Another thing is, in regards to a lot of these issues, politics come into play, and people say, oh, well, they're just using black-owned businesses and amplifying that on Instagram as a political play for the liberals. What? No, these businesses need to make money to recover from over a year of being in a pandemic where they weren't making any money and they were struggling. Has nothing to do with being a liberal, has nothing to do with being a conservative. And that is a problem I got with a lot of y'all, especially on my Instagram, because a lot of y'all get on here and be like, oh, well, liberals are awful and everything is the Democratic Party is twisting everything. All conservatives are terrible. Listen, both parties are terrible. In case you did not know, both parties suck, especially in 2021. I will never understand. I'm glad that Joe Biden passed the anti-Asian hate crime bill. But African Americans literally were taken from their home country, stripped of their actual names, stripped of their culture, stripped of their language, stripped of their religion, and brought to a country they did not ask to be in, and we don't have a hate crime bill for that. The Ku Klux Klan isn't even illegal. Lynching isn't even illegal in all states. Both parties suck. Both conservatives and Democrats have their shortcomings. There are some jacked up people on both sides. So this whole let me try to make one side look worse than the other or make my side look better than the other, it is BS because both parties suck. And I'm here to say that. And I'll say that loud and proud. I don't care who comes for me about that. Both parties are awful. Instead of both parties banding together and saying, hey, These are all the issues. Let's put all the issues on the table and let's talk about how we see these issues from our perspective. And then let's come up with a viable solution. Both parties want to get on Instagram and bash each other. You got people like Tommy Larry, you got people like Candace Owens, you got Democrats, you got all people from all sides of the party getting on there and bashing each other. I will never understand it. You want me to vote for you, but you're not telling me what you're planning on doing. You're telling me how your candidate sucks. You're telling me that you support black owned businesses or you support minorities or you want to see minorities not face discrimination and prejudice, but you're not doing anything about it. I will never understand it. And for people my age and even a little bit younger, y'all have to do better too, because y'all real good for getting on these social media platforms and cutting up. Y'all are really good for that. But when it comes down to it, we're not doing anything. What are we doing? What are we doing? I don't want my kids 10 years down the line to experience racism. I don't want them to have to go through all of that. I want to be able to say, you know, we made a difference and we got somewhere, but we're getting nowhere. We're getting nowhere. We have to do better. We really do. We have to get better education for children. We have to start telling the truth. We have to stop putting politics into everything. We have to. We got to stop bashing one side and the other side. No, let's put all the issues on the table and start creating viable solutions. Stop getting on TikTok and saying, oh, this snow bunny, this mayo person, this marshmallow. Stop doing that because it's not helping us. It's not helping our cause at all. All it does is show that we don't know how to create an argument effectively, which I know a lot of us know how to do. We have to do better. We have to start really coming up with viable solutions to the problems. But one of the solutions starts with you. It starts with you sitting down and looking at yourself and saying, what is something that I can unlearn? If you're racist, what is an ideology I can unlearn? When you become an adult, you do not have to listen to what your mom and daddy say. You don't. You grown. You are 35 years old. There is no reason you should be walking around still saying, oh, well, I still think that this, and this needs to be segregated. I don't think there should be any integration. There is no reason why you almost 40 and you still think like that in 2021. No reason. There is no reason you should be walking around saying, oh, well, I'm a conservative. I'm the best party out there. And all these liberals, they're just brainwashed. No reason. Oh, well, every conservative is racist and blah, blah, blah. No reason. If we actually start sitting down and putting the issues on the table and actually start creating viable solutions and y'all actually start putting the correct people in office, we wouldn't have these issues. We could solve some of these problems. We really can. But just know it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a fight. But we have to do it the right way. Getting on TikTok and calling people names is not the right way to do it. No, start advocating. Bringing awareness to it. Teaching the real history. Start somewhere. If you want to teach, make a change within your classroom. I don't know. Start somewhere. And if you have to start with yourself and look within your heart and say, am I a little bit racist? Am I prejudiced? Am I this? Am I that? Do that too. But we cannot keep playing this game because it's not working anymore. And people are getting way too comfortable on this planet with being disrespectful and being racist. and people are getting way too comfortable with performing hate crimes. So we need to do something. Oh, yeah. By the way, speaking of hate crimes, Mr. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, I don't know if y'all have thought about passing a bill for African Americans in terms of hate crimes. It would be nice if you did. It would be nice if we made the KKK illegal. It would be nice if we made anti-lynching. I mean, not anti-lynching. It would be nice if we made lynching illegal, because that's murder. It would be nice if we saw some efforts put towards that. It would be nice. I don't care about what state you're going to. I want to know what you're doing. What are you doing for our communities? Because I'm going to be honest. A lot of y'all politicians are good at talking a good game and saying, oh, I'm going to help the minorities. I'm going to do this for low-income communities. And I ain't seen not one of y'all in a low-income community yet. So, leadership, government, do better. Citizens, do better. Liberals, do better. Conservatives, do better. White people, do better. Everybody, do better. So that was really all that I had. I know that was probably a lot, and it was probably kind of a little bit all over the place, but these are a lot of things that were going through my head, and I wanted to share them with y'all. And in maybe about 2.5 weeks, I will have the Little Rock 9 episode for y'all. I have a lot going on right now, but I wanted to give you guys something. So enjoy this episode. Again, if you have questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Drop them in the comments. Shoot me a DM on Instagram at Jazzy Tinsley. And I will try to have the Little Rock 9 episode up within the next 2 weeks. And you can check out episode 1 and episode 2 also on Podbean as well. If you go ahead and go over to Podbean and follow me there, all of my episodes will pop up. And I will see you guys soon with the Little Rock 9 episode. Also, if you are going out for 4th of July, make sure you be safe, make smart decisions. If you're going out to drink, don't drive drunk. Be safe and make smart decisions, and I'll see y'all later.